Yes, good afternoon everyone. Welcome to Legacy IS Academy. This ethics booster program is specifically designed for improving your ethics marks. How we are going to do this? We are in these sessions improving our content through enrichment. कुछ unique content आपको दिया जा रहा है. Plus, we are also having the live answer writing. Along with that, we are providing you some last minute revision notes also. In the description of this video, you can download all the important notes for the last minute revision. Now, in the previous session, we have started with the first part of your syllabus, that is normative ethics and important philosophies. We have covered also some of the important PYQs in those sessions. So if you have missed that session, go through it and then you can watch this particular session also and keep following these 12 sessions, 8 sessions for theory part and 4 sessions for case studies part. Now, in this particular session, we are going to cover the second part of, or topic of our, we can say that syllabus. That is, we can say that the lessons learned from the life and teachings of great leaders and social reformers. Okay, so yes, every year there will be one direct question asking about a contribution and the lessons that we can learn from any particular social reformer or great leader. One direct question and 2 to 3 indirect questions also, such as code based questions. And that's why it is very important to prepare this particular topic. 10 to 15 most important leaders from India as well as social reformers. They can be even, we can say that, religious reformers. So prepare them and we will be ready for our 30 to 40 marks in the examination. So you can watch this session till the end and download those notes from the description. Now, how to approach to this particular session, particular syllabus topic? Let's try to understand that first. Yes, so first of all, when the question itself or syllabus topic itself is saying lessons from the life and teachings, so first we should understand the important human values or in general lessons that can be learned from them. In general, lessons from their life, their teachings we can learn, because this is the direct syllabus topic. So this can be directly framing of questions, and that's why we should have around 6 to 7 some important values and teachings from that, let's say, important leader, and we can simply use them in our answer. Second thing, we should know their contribution towards service of other people. So when I say service to other people, we can talk about welfare of weaker sections, we can talk about women empowerment, or in general regarding the, let's say, children, or regarding the old age people, regarding, we can say that, the poor people, or let's say whatever the weaker sections of the society are there. Second, regarding social reforms, so whatever the social norms, existing social norms are there, so how they try to reform. You can take example of Swami Vivekananda, you can take example of Rajaram Mohan Roy, or you can talk about Mahatma Gandhi always, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So you can talk about the social reforms promoted by them, even religious reforms. We can talk about, let's say, views of and teachings of Gautam Buddha, Mahavir, or let's say Guru Nanak. So all these personalities have been asked by UPSC in last 5 years. You should be aware about this. Then their contribution towards polity, Indian polity, rights of the people, development of country, democracy. So you can, let's say, talk about here, because of great leaders we are talking, no? So Mahatma Gandhi is there, Dr. Ambedkar is there, Subhash Chandra Bose is there, or you can talk about the other personalities like Jawaharlal Nehru is there, right? So they, or Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, all these personalities have somehow contributed to our democratic setup also, towards administration and governance, because this syllabus topic goes beyond this and talks about, let's say, great administrators also. Okay, so great administrators, I'm going to give you list also, 4 5 people, so you should be aware about them also. And towards the administration governance and towards the economic growth of the nation, if it is relevant. Then you can also add here regarding, we can say, their contribution towards the international relations. Now the third important aspect, look at this, first, second and third important aspect is their important quotes. Why it is important? Because the question can be directly the code based question. So if you are already aware about these codes and how we can infer their teachings from these codes and brainstorm them before, we can say that, directly examination, so we should be ready with these important codes also in our notes. And finally, the relevance in the present context. This is how they are asking the code based question, right? Code based question, they will ask the meaning and then the relevance. So in the relevance part, 4 to 5 aspect you should be aware. What are these? In the relevance aspect, first of all, relevance in the life of individual. Relevance in the life of individual. So how it is related to individual, let's say improving our own conduct, or we can say strengthening our character, how we can, let's say, improve our own mental health. All these things are important here. Then we can talk about is relevance to our society. So whatever the societal norms are there, or if there are social evils or regressive practices in society, how we can, let's say, apply these teachings and improve our societal norms, or we can say in general progress, of make it progressive society. Third aspect we can talk about is governance and administration. Again, same thing, if it is relevant, like for example, talk about Gandhiji. So when he is talking about governance or all these things, he is talking about gram swaraj, and he is talking about, we can say, that self reliance. So you should be aware about how it can be related. Then fourth aspect you can talk about is, if it is related to corporate sector, then you can relate it to corporate governance, right? Like Mahatma Gandhi will say that commerce without morality is a sin. So you relate here. Then fifth one, we can say that international relations. Yes, international relations or international development. So if it is Rabindranath Tagore, he will talk about humanism, or Swami Vivekananda, he will talk about universal brotherhood, or if we are talking about Dalai Lama, he will talk about secular ethics. So somehow it is, or let's say Mahatma Gandhi, peace and non-violence. See, I have given continuously references because you are going to use them directly in your answer. So this session is going to be very, very important for all of you. So you have understood how to make notes, and we are providing you notes for all these important, let's say, personalities. You can download that from the description of this video. Now let's talk about the next part. So before starting, we can say that this particular, let's say, syllabus topic, you must be aware about what are the different social issues and problems that our country is facing, because we should be able to relate all these teachings and lessons to overcome these problems, right? So we should first brainstorm and understand how these, let's say, social issues are present in their manifestation in different aspects, and then we'll talk about those 10 important personalities and their contribution. So first of all, we will talk about gender injustice and which values are also relevant here or being compromised. So all these social problems, you will see that out of six, 3 to 4 case studies are on the social problems like we are, let's say, talking here. And at theory part also, these questions, teachings of great personalities, as well as 1 or 2 questions can be specifically to any particular social problem that our country or our society is facing. So this is going to be very important next 10 to 15 minutes for, let's say, your preparation. First of all, gender injustice. So how do we, let's say, have this manifestation in our society? You can come across, let's say, domestic violence issue, sexual violence or sexual abuse. Then you can talk about, let's say, discrimination, workplace harassment, dowry cases, isn't it? So all these we can, let's say, you can add by yourself also. So many things are there, which values are relevant. Simultaneously brainstorm on this. Like we have, let's say, respect and dignity, respect, equality. Then what we can say that dignity, respect, equality, gender injustice we are talking. So here we can say that fairness, justice, fairness, we can say. So all these values are relevant. Then caste based discrimination. So we can come across, let's say, issues like manual scavenging. We can have case study also on this particular topic. This is pending theory topic, okay? Manual scavenging. Then caste based violence is there, discrimination is there. Then we can see the problems related to, we can say that, prejudices, stereotyping. So again, we can see which values are compromised here or involved here. Like we can talk about is again equality, dignity, justice, social justice, we can say, specifically talking. All right. Then we can talk about communalism or religious, let's say, hatred that is going on. You can talk about hate speeches, right? You can talk about, let's say, cow vigilant. You can talk about, let's say, resultant lynching, violence, and then we can talk about even let's say forceful convergence, religious polarization, especially by politicians using vote bank politics. So yes, values we can talk about, let's say, secularism, harmony, right? Religious harmony we can talk about is like inclusiveness. We can talk about tolerance, isn't it? All these are, we can say that, values here involved. Then next we can talk about is, yes, poverty and hunger. You can talk about issues like malnutrition. You can talk about homelessness, beggary. All these are issues, right? Poverty, then slums, homelessness में slums add कर दो, right? People are living in the shanty settlements, unhygiene, ठीक है, lack of, let's say, sanitation, lack of basic facilities. You can see that. Then what we can add here, simple, in terms of values, like welfare, justice. Then what we can say that economic equality will also come, right? All these values you can add here. Yes, online students, if you are, let's say, watching this, let's connect. If you have any doubt, you can talk to me also. Yes, and we are going to have live answer writing also. So if you are watching this session, then you can also have pen and paper with you, and whenever I am asking you to write any question, so you can simultaneously write that or brainstorm it and just let me know in the comment box, and I'm going to help you, let's say, give directly feedback to you. And if you are, let's say, if you want direct, let's say, preparation related any guidance, so you can contact Legacy IS. In the description we have given you all the details, and I'm going to guide for your ethics preparation. Now, child exploitation. So you can see the cases related to child labor, child marriage, even sexual abuse, POXO Act, for which we have sexual abuse of children, right? Then let's say trafficking, child trafficking. So which values again we can talk about is responsibility, responsibility of parents, state, responsibility of state, welfare. Then we can say care, compassion, innocence of children, innocence is lost. Then elderly neglect. So we can come across, let's say, cases of, we can say that, abandonment of elderly people, abandonment. Then we can talk about is, let's say, loneliness issue. Then we can talk about is, let's say, their health concerns. No one is there to take care. Health concerns. So which values are involved here? Again, responsibility, care, compassion, welfare. Okay, welfare. So this is also responsibility of the state to take care of elderly people. Then we can talk about next social issue that we are facing, Divyang people exclusion. So that is, we can say that, lack of accessibility. You can see that the physical infrastructure is not accessible. They are, we can say that, discriminated at workplace, discrimination. We can say lack of employment, access to employment, equal opportunities are not there, opportunities, all these things. Again, same values you can talk about is, let's say, equality, welfare, compassion, social justice, right? So quickly you should be able to, brainstorm. Yes, these are the values we should be able to connect. Then human trafficking, you can see that organ trafficking is there, sexual violence is there, prostitution, sexual violence, exploitation, right? So that you can mention. Basically, you can understand that human dignity is involved. Human beings are used as a means to achieve ends. So dignity is very important aspect, we can say that. Then safety, that safety, or we can say that law and order, that is the responsibility of the state, that is missing here. So human trafficking is happening. So these values you can add here, and we can say again responsibility of the state, responsibility of the state. Okay. Right. Then substance abuse. Substance abuse, you can see alcoholism, drugs, drug addicts, drug addiction, right? So all this substance abuse happens, let's say, especially youth is getting addicted. So which values are involved here? Somehow, let's say the youth is not having self control, temperance, discipline. At the same time, once they are getting addicted, it is also a responsibility of the society, government, to rehabilitate them, right? One should not, let's say, call them as some kind of, let's say, or punish them, that they have done some kind of big crime or something like that. Otherwise they will not be able to reintegrate back into the society. And that's why one should be very careful, responsibility, care, compassion. Otherwise it is very difficult for them to, get rehabilitated. बहुत मुश्किल हो जाएगा उनके लिए. So care, compassion, you can see the DPSPs, महात्मा गांधी और गांधीयन DPSPs में हम बोलते हैं कि article 47 is there, right? So it talks about, let's say, drug abuse or substance abuse and all these things, public health care. So again, it is responsibility of the state. Then which social issues further? Let's say, yes, consumerism and materialism. Every year, almost every year, whatever the nature of question is there, you can relate this issue that we are facing, different aspects, like consumerism. So wasteful expenditure, wasteful lifestyle, we can say that. Commodification, commodification is going on for everything. Pleasure seeking behavior, resource exploitation in unsustainable manner, that is affecting environment also, environment degradation, climate change, all these things. So what you can, values, self control, again temperance, control on desires, that is not there. Then we can talk about is moderation in human action, human life, moderation is not there. Then sustainability, all these are very, we can say, relevant principles here, values, sustainability. Then decline in civic sense, yes, we can come across so many, let's say, cases like, we can say that, littering in the public places, littering in the public places, not having cleanliness. Then you can talk about, let's say, tax evasion, tax evasion, yes, that we can say that lack of civic sense, or we can say that lack of civic responsibilities, right? Lack of civic responsibilities and violation of rules, regulations, values. Okay. So here we can talk about is simply the, what you can say, civic rights are there, right? So civic rights need to balance with, we can say that, our duties, our duties. So duties aspect we are missing here. At the same time, we can say patriotism, love for nation, responsibility, we are missing here. right? Digital space and AI. So it is kind of, we can say, modern aspect. Every year there will be applied question on, let's say, this thing, different fields, what kind of ethical values, principles, theories are applied in that particular field. So you should be aware, like we are, let's say, frequently coming across this fake news, or we can say deep fakes, because of AI, use of AI, or misinformations being spread, or we can say that there is some kind of cyber crimes going on continuously. It has, let's say, significantly increased in last 5 years. Cyber bullying, it shows human behavior, how it is negative in cyberspace, cyber bullying. And then we talk about, let's say, data privacy violations, right? Data privacy violations, human, let's say, privacy, human dignity is involved here. Okay, so now you can talk about values. So values, you same. So privacy, right to privacy is there, is part of dignity, isn't it? Data privacy, dignity. Then we can talk about is digital equality. Then let's say, fine, so these values are linked there. AI, algorithmic bias is also there, AI bias, right? So that is also, we can say that, relevant here. Now, lastly, corruption and decline in integrity. Yes, you can come across bribes, scams. Can give examples. Recent scam of Haryana public, let's say, funds being diverted. IDFC First Bank. Like recent news that one of the IS officers suspended by Haryana government. Bribes, scams are there. Then you can talk about abuse of power, favoritism, nepotism, secrecy. So all these are problems in our, we can say that, administration also. And we can say declining. So all civil service values are relevant here. Civil service values. So you can go on listing them: integrity, honesty, impartiality, non-partisanship, objectivity, selflessness, empathy, compassion, everything. So that is being violated. Transparency, accountability. Inequality. Yes, inequality, it's not only the gender aspect. Inequality in terms of, we can talk about economic inequality. Rich poor divide. Oxfam report, you know about this, right? So rich poor divide. Then we can talk about educational divide, right? So educational outcomes, educational divide is there, digital divide is there, right? So values again: equality, inclusiveness, equality, inclusiveness, yes, or inclusive growth, inclusive development. Environmental degradation, yes, we can say that due to this, let's say, earlier topic, consumerism, or let's say lifestyle, insta worthy lifestyle, excess extraction of resources is happening, and environment degradation is happening. You can talk about pollution, you can talk about, let's say, how, let's say, air pollution, water pollution is happening. Then you can talk about climate change, global warming is there, right? Greenhouse gas emissions. Because of that, let's say, many problems are witnessed, like we can talk about is sea level rise. Then we can talk about increase in disasters, environmental disasters, loss of life. All these things are happening. Deforestation is there, habitat loss is there. सब इसकी वजह से बहुत सारे प्रॉब्लम हो रहे हैं. Then values you can talk about. So yes, you can talk about environmental ethics and principles involved in it. Environmental ethics, right? Ecocentrism we can talk about here. Then deep ecology, you can talk about the deep ecology. Ecocentrism. Then you can talk about is CBDR principle in international, let's say, negotiations, climate change, common but differentiated responsibilities, intergenerational parity, generational parity, and equity, we can say that, and climate justice. All these, let's say, concepts or values are relevant here. Is this clear, everyone? Yes. So this is going to be very important, let's say, content for all of you जो भी हमने brainstorming किया है अभी. Now we can start with the first person, or let's say great leaders and social reformers, Gautam Buddha. Okay, yes, so there has been several times question asked in previous year, if you go through it. So there has been quotes as well as one direct question talking about the teachings of Buddha and, let's say, most relevant teachings in the present times and why. So this is the way they are asking questions, great personalities, or in future also they can be asking specifically to these, let's say, values. So in all, let's say, 10 personalities, I am going to help you understand what are the common, let's say, or important values or lessons from his life and teachings, and how they are relevant in the present context. We'll brainstorm on this, and from the notes in the description you can go through the quotes, important quotes of these personalities, and some other trivial information, their contributions and all. Okay, so first of all, yes, Gautam Buddha is known for karuna, compassion, promotion of, we can say that, love, compassion, love for all beings, for all living beings. Okay, so here you should know all is aspect very important. All living beings, including, we can say that, animals, including all, let's say, animals, plants, everyone. No, so you can link to environmental ethics. The present day you can see, you can come across so many issues. Human wildlife conflict is there, habitat destruction is there, species extinction is there. At the same time, you should talk about the way poor and helpless people are being exploited, and you can see that lack of compassion towards the weaker sections in general in the society is, let's say, increasing. So compassion towards them is very important. He also promoted compassion towards, let's say, old age people. He said that there should be compassion towards the old age, or we can say sick people, and let's say children. So जो भी weaker sections है उनके towards compassion होना चाहिए. Those who are suffering, for them compassion, towards them compassion is very important. Then non-violence. Okay, so non-violence, I mean, a very important, let's say, contribution of Gautam Buddha, right? So you can you know about this thing, right? So how, let's say, uh, Emperor Ashoka, he changed his complete perspective. Buddhism changed his complete perspective. Later on he adopted Buddha, Dhamma, and then, let's say, peaceful way of life. So non-violence, even it is relevant today. So you can see that violence in today's, let's say, society, violence, it's not only, let's say, wars that we are witnessing at world level. You can talk about Ukraine Russia war that is going on and going on. We don't see the end. Then we can see the present, let's say, times, Israel, Iran, US Iran war that is going on, Israel Hamas conflict that had, let's say, created a lot of problems. And all over the world you can, let's say, see the internal, let's say, violences that are going on. Western African countries completely violent hit. And then, let's say, people, especially poor and weaker sections like children, women, they are facing the brunt of all this violence. In India, if you take the example of Manipur, so you can give that example also, Manipur. So we need to ensure, let's say, non-violence. So there is violence between Kuki, Nagas, and, we can say, Meiteis. So here the teachings are very relevant. So non-violence, he is trying to, let's say, we can say that, tell, or let's say, teach us the non-violence, and all these conflicts problems can be solved through a peaceful manner, through dialogue and discussion, deliberations. Then we can talk about mindfulness. It's very important. Mindfulness help us to improve human conduct, right? Human conduct, mindfulness, how? So through mindfulness we improve the self awareness. Now in today's era it is very important. Why? Because we are facing lot of stress, anxiety. So it can decline the stress and anxiety, we can say that, through mindfulness. So here itself, you can relate that stress and anxiety, work life imbalance that people are facing, lot of, let's say, challenges, including financial challenges that people are facing. So mindfulness, so how our emotions are, let's say, evolving in a particular situation, we should be aware about this. So emotional intelligence, self awareness, self management. So mindfulness is very important practice that he had promoted. Then right conduct, yes. So actions should be ethical. So according to him, he promoted, we can say that, madhyam marga, middle path. You can talk about actions, right? So ethical, it should be moderation in human actions. He is talking here, no extremities of actions. So right conduct, ethical conduct is very important, he is promoting here. Then he is talking about wisdom. He himself got, let's say, enlightenment or wisdom after continuous meditation for 6 years under the bodhi tree, we can say that. And then he got the true knowledge, we can say that, and wisdom, prajna, what we call it. Okay, so wisdom, achieving wisdom is very important. Wisdom is simply, we can say that, the knowledge or understanding of that knowledge in a true sense, and then application of and serve the country or serve the nation or society. Then that is, we can say that, wisdom. So ultimately we can say that wisdom is regarding helping other people or serving the society, serving the humanity. Then we can talk about is self discipline. So he is talking about self discipline. So yes, we can see that nowadays the young generation is not able to have the discipline in their life. So they are falling for, let's say, different kinds of pleasure seeking behaviors, and especially in the social media and that internet penetration that is having. And you can see that they are also getting involved in such kind of, let's say, unsocial behavior, like cyberbullying is there, or let's say online, cyberspace that is there. So they are facing problems of loneliness, anxiety, stress, everything. So that's why they must focus on self discipline, and self discipline is going to help improve our conduct and ultimately have the ethical actions in our life. Then very important message that he is giving is contentment. Yes, he is saying that the greatest wealth that the person can have is contentment, the true wealth, we can say that. Okay, so why he is saying like this? Because through contentment we can overcome all this stress, anxiety. The focus of nowadays, you can talk about, is materialism. We talked about this social issue, right, just now. That's why I'm told you that it is very relevant. हर एक चीज को आपको रिलेट करना है. अभी वो 15 जो सोशल प्रॉब्लम्स बताए थे वही आंसर में आएंगे यहाँ पे. मटेरियलिज्म, कंज्यूमरिज्म, जो भी रैट रेस में चल रहा है हम, बिकॉज ऑफ कैपिटलिस्ट फिलोसॉफी इज दैट. सो दैट, बिकॉज ऑफ दैट क्या हो रहा है कि आज हमारे पास एक वैगनर है, तो देन वी वांट सम काइंड ऑफ, लेट्स से, टाटा पंच चाहिए, उसके बाद में जो है फिर इनोवा चाहिए, फिर कोई मतलब और महंगी गाड़ी चाहिए. Basically we are not satisfied with what we have, and we are continuously seeking more and more. This human behavior, human nature is creating lot of stress, and that stress is, we can see that nowadays either we are having high rate of suicides among the youngsters, and then we can see nowadays that people are getting heart attack in their 30s and 40s itself. So basically it is the stressful life, the lifestyle that they are having. Therefore they must practice mindfulness, and contentment is the key here to have the healthy life, or we can say that long life. So this is, we can say that, true happiness. It will give the true happiness. Then we can talk about middle path. Yes, madhyam marg. This is what he is promoting, madhyam marg, or moderation in human action. There should not be extremities of action. He himself is of the view that extreme spiritualism and asceticism is not required. So he is combining the spiritualism with the rational human life that we can live in the day-to-day life in society. So madhyam marg, or middle path. So yes, in our life also we can, let's say, extremities, materialistic life, and on this side completely asceticism. So in between we can talk about the spiritualism, and we can talk about mindfulness practice and following the middle path. So I hope that now you have understood. It is very clear to most of you. If you have any question, just let me know in the comment box. This is the way question was asked. What teachings of Buddha are most relevant today, and why? Most relevant and why? That's 2020 question. So we have to address this question here. About is fourth, contentment, to some extent relevant also. And then we can talk about is wisdom, and we can talk about is middle path. So to achieve all these things, we can say that simply it is the middle path, the method that he has given, right? So four noble truths that he is talking. So some teachings general you learn in GS paper 1, तो वो आप यहाँ पे use कर लेना, ठीक है? And why we have discussed here the problems that our present society is facing, because it is talking about why it is relevant today. So present society is facing all these, let's say, problems. Our generation is facing all these problems, and to deal with them we need to have or relate whatever the teachings are there of Buddha. Okay, so very famous quote is also there. Let me tell you that quote also simultaneously, so that you can write that in conclusion. Health is the greatest gift, contentment is the greatest wealth, and faithfulness is the best relationship. this quote can be written. Then we can say that then we can write about, let's say, the mind is everything. Okay, what you think you become. So yes, it is talking about the importance of thoughts, mindfulness. That's what so mindfulness, then automatically it becomes the right conduct, and ultimately we get the wisdom in life. So brainstorming on these quotes is very important. Simultaneously, be a lamp unto yourself. Why he's saying like this? Because it is talking about you should reflect inside you and try to achieve the inner peace. There was one question, one quote of Gautam Buddha: unless and until we achieve the peace inside us, we will not be able to achieve the peace outside. So, very famous quote is there, this Buddha's quote, and this was asked in your mains examination. So, that means inner peace is very important, and how we can achieve that? By reflecting inside us. What are our thoughts? How we can purify those thoughts? Mahatma Gandhi also talks about purity of thoughts. So, we should be talking about this and then give some examples whether we are getting wrong thoughts in our life. So, automatically thoughts becomes words and actions. So, if you purify your thoughts, automatically our words and actions will be good. And that's why right conduct, automatically it will result into right conduct, and we will seek to achieve, we can say, wisdom in our life. So सारी teachings को जो है वो quote के through आप जोड़ दीजिए, and you can write very good answer. And let's say try to relate to present society whenever there is a quote, let's say quote based questions. Okay, then the three things cannot be long hidden: the sun, the moon and the truth. So ये तो पता है ना कि moon and sun तो हमें रोज दिखता है, it cannot be hidden. But the ultimate essence is third point here. He is talking truth. Yes, Mahatma Gandhi talks about truth. Mahavir also talks about, let's say, seeking the truth, the ultimate, let's say, knowledge. We can say that true knowledge. So truth cannot be hidden. What he is saying here, and this is very relevant in present society, wherein there is fake news issue is going on. People are cheating, lying, and exploiting other people. You can see that nowadays, let's say, how, let's say, business is run on the basis of misinformation, wrong marketing strategies, using, we can say, or let's say, uh, somehow they are not following the right principles while doing the business. And commerce without morality is a social sin, according to Mahatma Gandhi. So then you can relate this particular, let's say, concept of truth, or we can say this uh, yes, truth, or Mahatma Gandhi's concept of truth, you can link there also. So how he in experiments my life with my experiments with the truth, जो उनका autobiography है, so you can mention that also in your answer. In this manner you can deal with this particular quote. Yes, then he is also talking about hatred does not cease by hatred but only by love. This is the eternal rule. That's why I told you compassion, love, this is very important, and non-violence, hatred. So this is, let's say, combined. No, that's why one and two most important, let's say, teachings. And yes, you can talk about, let's say, hatred does not cease by hatred, and that's why war is not the solution. ठीक है, तो जहाँ पे भी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट है, मणिपुर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, सो वायलेंस इज नॉट द solution, or even by the government force is not the solution. There should be dialogue, there should be, let's say, community leaders coming together and talking to each other, there should be trust building, and there should be positive, let's say, outcome in terms of constructive, let's say, conflict management, or we can say that the outcome of that conflict. Fine, now you have understood, let's say, teachings of Buddha. I think so there is no problem. Try to write answer to this question and give your answer, submit it. I will try to give you feedback on this particular question. Now let's talk about, let's say, this was the question of Buddha. Now let's talk about a next person. Who is the next person? Yes, Mahavir, because that was one question on Mahavir about similar framing. You can see the framing of question. What are the major teachings of Mahavir? Explain their relevance in contemporary world. Okay, relevance, they are going to ask relevance, teachings and relevance. That's what we are basically brainstorming. 2025 matlab last year mains, right? So we can always expect the code based questions on Mahavir in next year. Okay, you never know. So which are the important teachings and values we can take from his life, and we can say teachings? So yes, first one is ahimsa, same, non-violence. You can see Buddhism and Jainism both are promoting ahimsa, non-violence. Now when we talk about ahimsa and non-violence, it's not only about actions. we can say non-violence in actions. It is also related to, we can say, non-violence in our thoughts and we can say words. It's a trinity. Okay, non-violence in trinity, that means there should not be negative thoughts of harming the other people. One should not even think about harming the other person. One should not even speak ill about the other person. And then we can talk about the action. Yes, it is completely no according to both Buddha as well as Mahavira. So ahimsa, just now we discussed about, let's say, in Buddha, what, let's say, non-violence is relevant in present society. The violence that is going on, wars, conflicts around the world, you can talk about Ukraine Russia war, Iran and Israel conflict is that is going on. In India, you can talk about Manipur conflict, or let's say caste based violence conflict, religion based conflicts that are going on in different parts of the country. Recent examples you can give. Then very specific teaching is aparigraha. Aparigraha means non accumulation of wealth. Now you can relate to present society, how there is, let's say, accumulation of wealth. You can give reference to Oxfam report. Now you must be thinking about ki Oxfam reports are hum GS paper mein likhte hain. See, I am talking about validation of my argument in ethics. I am saying that this is problematic, accumulation of wealth. It goes against ethics. Then I am giving reference that yes, there is accumulation of wealth that is going on, and we need distributive justice. This is part of your DPSP. Distributive justice or economic justice, it is part of, we can say, yes, DPSP, we can say that directive principles of state policy. So aparigraha, it is relevant in present society. There is, let's say, continuously accumulation. You can see the capitalist philosophy. There is, let's say, exploitation of workers, and the wealth is continuously growing among the billionaires. You can see the number of billionaires in India is increasing, but poverty is not falling as such comparatively. And the Oxfam report is the stark reality of this particular, let's say, situation that we are facing in our society. Then the third important is asteya or non-stealing. Yes, what he is trying to say through this particular, let's say, philosophy is one should not be cheating other person, right? Cheating से पैसा नहीं कमाना है, asteya मतलब stealing, right? So one should have honest means of livelihood, right? Honest means of livelihood. Let me tell you the recent experience that I faced. Okay, one of the person, when I was searching for one, let's say, room that I wanted to rent here in Bangalore. So one of the person, I was searching on online apps. Okay, so one of the person had one fake profile there. Okay, so I was, let's say, eager to have that room. I was needing that room. So what I was doing is basically I was contacting that person. When let's say that person talked to me, he was of the view that first आप deposit दे दो 2000 रुपए का, then we'll show you the room. Now I haven't seen that person. I have not met that person. It's a third party platform that can be a fake platform. So I insisted him कि ऐसा तो नहीं है, मैं तो फर्स्ट टाइम आपसे बात कर रहा हूँ, सो यू शुड बी फर्स्ट शोइंग मी द रूम. ऐसा तो नॉर्मली ऐसा ही होता है ना. सो बेसिकली this is how that person never contacted me, and that room was basically uh, very, let's say, a very good room in less rent, which is, let's say, very impossible, especially in Bangalore when you are living here. So I can understand this is how dishonest means of livelihood, cheating other person, earning money through speculation. So Mahatma Gandhi here will say that wealth without work is a social sin. सब कुछ लिखना है हमें, सारे फिलोसोफर्स को एक दो साथ में लिंक कर देना है कि इन्होंने भी ऐसे बोला है. अस्तेय. Then we can talk about self discipline. So yes, he is similar philosophy of Buddha. Self discipline, self control, we can talk about, let's say, self control or control on desires. Nowadays you can see that materialistic life and all these things, so relate that also, control on human desires. So this thing is there, self awareness, self management, emotional intelligence, सब जोड़ दो यहाँ पे. Corruption, civil servants, desires, सारा चीज आ जाएगा. अनेकांतवाद is very unique here. So why I'm saying अनेकांतवाद unique, because one should be tolerant, inclusive, tolerance, inclusive, and respect others view. Anekantwad is talking about, let's say, there can be multiple dimensions to the truth, and one should try to explore them instead of directly rejecting them. ठीक है, तो ये अनेकांतवाद हो गया. तो इसलिए आप प्रेजेंट सोसाइटी में देखते हैं कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स रहते होते हैं, ईगो आ जाता है कि मैं तेरा क्यों सुन, ओके, माय ओपिनियन इज बेटर, माय सॉल्यूशन इज बेटर. So I will try to follow my own opinion. So ये ऐसे तो ग्रुप में वर्किंग नहीं हो सकता ना, एज एन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर, एज एन सिविल सर्वेंट. So you should be having let's say this tolerance, inclusiveness and spirit the corps. मतलब क्या है, टीम स्पिरिट होना चाहिए, टीम वर्किंग होना चाहिए. ये सब रिलेवेंस आप बताइए. इक्वानिटी, what is equanimity? So it is, we can say, balanced life. Okay, balanced life, balanced decisions. We can say that in every situation we should be calm. Okay, calm mind, so that we can have the best possible action or decision in that situation. This is equanimity. So in every situation we should have calm mind. सबसे ज़्यादा तो civil servants को ज़रूरत है, right? Civil servants are always facing the challenging situations, so they are in need of this particular, let's say, it is very relevant for civil servants. Calm mind, equanimity, forgiveness. Yes, forgiveness जो मतलब बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट हो गया आज के टाइम पे. छोटी छोटी चीज की वजह से लोग जो है वो गुस्सा कर देते हैं. रिसेंट इंसिडेंट, यू कैन सी दैट इन मुंबई लोकल ट्रेन, यंग बॉय डाइड बिकॉज ऑफ एंगर इश्यू. तो किसी की भी गलती हो, छोटी बड़ी कोई भी गलती हो, पीपल आर नॉट रेडी टू फॉरगिव ईच अदर. This has become a problem, and all these great personalities had talked about forgiveness. Mahatma Gandhi says that, let's say, we cannot forgive. Forgiveness is the trait of strong people. ऐसा क्यों बोला उन्होंने? Yes, because the forgiveness requires to overcome one's ego. Forgiveness requires to overcome one's, let's say, whatever his own loss has happened, and ready to forgive and move ahead. This requires magnanimity in your heart. ठीक है, दिल बड़ा होना चाहिए आपका, तभी तो आप माफ कर सकते हो ना किसी को. यही तो मुश्किल है ना आज के टाइम पे, राइट? एंड दैट्स व्हाट दीज ग्रेट पर्सनालिटीज हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट. फॉरगिवनेस. ऑटोमेटिकली वट एवर द कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स दैट आर गोइंग ऑन इन आवर सोसाइटी, हम क्या करते हैं, छोटी छोटी चीज की वजह से, पार्किंग की वजह से नेबरहुड से झगड़ा कर देता है, ठीक है, नेबर से. बेसिकली दिस इज द मेन कंसर्न, दैट वी आर नॉट एबल टू accept the mistakes of other people, or knowingly or unknowingly we are not able to listen to what they are trying to say, or whatever the reasons might be behind their actions, the circumstances behind those actions. तो forgiveness मुश्किल हो जाएगा ना. एक मुश्किल घड़ी में, बैड सर्कमस्टांसेस में कोई पर्सन जो है कुछ स्टील कर देता है आपका चीज, ठीक है, तो डू वी अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इन व्हाट सिचुएशन दैट पर्सन हैज टेकन दैट एक्शन. ठीक है, आपके ही दोस्त ने आपके नोट्स चुरा लिए समझो, ठीक है. So yes, you may face such kind of situations, right? So basically the circumstances are very important in this situation. Determinants of ethics, in first session we have talked about this, right? So forgiveness is important, and it is also helpful to you. Unless and until you forgive that person, your heart will not be calm. Your, let's say, mind will be continuously thinking about the same issue, and you will face lot of stress, guilt feeling, or we can say crisis of conscience, whether you are doing right or wrong. तो ये सारा चीज जो है आप जो फेस कर रहे हो, आपका ये स्ट्रेस कम करने के लिए यू नीड टू फॉरगिव दैट पर्सन एंड मूव अहेड. दिस इज हाउ महात्मा गांधी सेज, फॉरगिव एंड फॉरगेट. सो दिस इज relevant here. The quest for truth, yes, samyak gyan, seek, let's say, right knowledge. Samyak gyan means what? Right knowledge, right information. So fake news, deep fakes, or social media, let's say, whatever the behavior we are having, whatever the message comes, we, without verifying it on our social media, forwarded. So that creates lot of issues, right? So we should be rational enough to question that, verify that. We have PIB's fact checking unit nowadays. So media is also coming with their own, we can say, fact checking units. And yes, it is responsibility of the citizens, because our fundamental duty is talking about promoting scientific tempers, humanism, and that's why we should be also having quest for truth. ऐसे आपको relate करने आना चाहिए. Now I think so you will be able to write this answer. ठीक है? What are the major teachings of Mahavira? Enumerate these 5-6 important teaching, explain the relevance in contemporary world. तो उनका आप टेबल ड्रॉ कर दीजिए ना ऐसे डायरेक्टली. Teachings, relevance in contemporary world. So in contemporary world you can relate to Indian society, you can talk about international relations. Contemporary world is not simply talking about the world, okay, it is talking about individual life also in the contemporary times. It is talking about the society, including Indian society. Then at national level and international relations issues that we are facing, You can relate. You can relate to corporate governance also. You can relate to administration also. Okay. All right. Now next person. Who is the next person? Yes, Guru Nanak. Yes, the important, let's say, thinker, or we can say personality, social reformers from the Bhakti movement. Yes, we learn this in GS papers. Bhakti movement. So he believed in Nirguna form, Nirguna Bhakti. Okay, that is formless God. So according to him, Ek Omkar, so unity of God. There is only one God according to him, Ik Omkar. So he is talking that we can say that religious, let's say, issues or conflicts that are there in our society, somehow they are because of different beliefs in our society. But the concept of Ik Omkar will ensure that there is harmony. Harmony in terms of religions. Why? Because according to him, the religion is basically to serve the people. Okay, the religion that serves the people, religion, we can say that, we can say, protect the weaker sections. That is the religion that he is promoting. So we can say ultimately it will promote the religious harmony, and we can say that the social order. Now three important teachings of, we can say that, Guru Nanak, very important, as it is naam ke sath likhne aana chahiye aapko. Yes, naam japo. So he is talking about, let's say, regarding, we can say that, revering name of the God. So he is talking about devotion. Okay, unconditional devotion. He is talking bhakti. That's why the bhakti movement, no? Naam japo. Kirat karo. So he is talking about hard work. Right. Again, it can be related to present day life. People do not want to do work, and let's say they want money. So we can relate to Mahatma Gandhi's wealth without work is a social sin. Hard work, he is talking about kirat karo, do hard work. So honest means of livelihood, honest means of livelihood. See, all it is related, huh, nowadays. So one should not, let's say, earn the money through speculation, through deceiving other people, using other people as a means to earn the money. So he is talking about doing the hard work, very relevant in present times. One the chako. So he is basically talking about sharing. Okay, sharing whatever you have. So it is very important in terms of charity, right? Charity, or we can say that helping weaker sections, helping needy people. So you can see that how Sikhism as a religion follows his teachings. You can see the langar system is there. ठीक है, या फिर आप देखते हो सिख रिलीजन में people follow this thing that 5% or 10% of whatever they earn that should go to the helping other people. ठीक है, तो ये कहाँ से आया? मान द चको, right? Then thereafter you can talk about compassion. Most of the, let's say, leaders, they are talking about same compassion and love for other people. ठीक है, everyone, love for all, right? So there should not be any kind of discrimination. So that's what he is talking about. There should not be any discrimination, equality beyond the caste, religion, background. ठीक है, so then thereafter simplicity. So we can talk about, we let's say, he lived a simplicity, humility in our life, humbleness. Nowadays you can see that how people are egoistic. Humbleness, simplicity should be there. Or we can say that sustainable living nowadays is very important. Sustainable living. Yes, this is way we can relate to present day society. Now the way question was asked in 2023, again same, major teachings of Guru Nanak and their relevance in the contemporary times. That means whatever the thinkers or, let's say, leaders we are going to learn, social reformers we are going to learn, उनका एक ही टाइप का आपको तैयार करना है, टीचिंग्स, मेजर टीचिंग्स एंड देयर रिलेवेंस, एंड इन बिटवीन यू कैन ऐड सम कोट्स, क्योंकि कोट बेस्ड क्वेश्चन आएगा, और नहीं आया तो उनके कोट्स लिखना है आंसर में हमें, राइट? सो वी शुड बी रेडी विद दीज थ्री थिंग्स, एंड दैट्स व्हाट वी आर ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग हियर, राइट? ओके, so we can write this answer to this question. I think so you can write down this question first, right? And उसके बाद आप कुछ उसके ऊपर लेट्स से व्यूज या ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग करके आप कमेंट बॉक्स में बता सकते हो. यस, ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स. यस, शिवाजी. यस, शिवाजी सिंह. यस, गुड आफ्टरनून. यस, ट्राई टू राइट आंसर टू दिस क्वेश्चन ऑल्सो. अभी नहीं तो आप बाद में भी लिख सकते हैं. यू कैन सेंड मी आंसर्स, राइट, एंड देन वी कैन let's say brainstorm on it. I will give you feedback. Now, next person. Yes, one student is saying why left Lukman. See, if you want to reach somewhere we have to leave from some places, right? ठीक है, फिल्मी लग रहा है dialogue, but yes, it is there. See, whatever I am teaching here, yes, I have learned so many things there in that institute, and I am trying to apply my own learning also, learn own knowledge also here, and I am trying to help the students in a much better manner also, so that students can clear this examination and let's say become a good IS officers, good let's say civil servants. ठीक है, दलाई लामा के बारे में बात करते हैं. Yes, now दलाई लामा के ऊपर आप देख सकते हैं, if you see the PYQs, two direct quotes have been asked on Dalai Lama. So that reflects his teachings. Now that's what we can always expect, ki whatever he has taught or his life is there, whatever the learnings are there from his life, we can always expect question. First, we are covering all these religious and spiritual reformers, right? And they are very important. Their quotes are continuously or let's say frequently asked by UPSC. Now, love for all beings. Again, you can see love, compassion, repeated. All four, you can see the repeated theme is there. And this repeated theme is there and most relevant aspect in the present times, including non-violence. You can see that all three are like repeated thing. That means, and even then Mahatma Gandhi and other personalities will also talk about the same aspect, right? So love for all beings in the present context. Again, you can talk about violence that is going on, conflict that is going on, wars, right? So it is always relevant. So love, compassion, non-violence, so they should be resolved. Conflict resolution, it should be in peaceful manner. Dialogue, it should be in peaceful manner. Dialogue, right? So that we can say that the innocent people, their life is not, let's say, lost. And ultimately we know that war does not have any kind of, let's say, fruitful outcome. Never, rather it is said like that. And that's what the great personalities have been talking. Buddha said that yes, hatred does not cease with the hatred, but only love. So this is what he is saying. So again, Dalai Lama, so it is Buddhism, of course. So he is the religious guru from Buddhism. So same teachings you can come across this. But yes, this one is important. Secular ethics. Now what secular ethics will say? Secular ethics will talk about all the, let's say, irrespective of religion, race, we can say that place of origin, nationality, we should all follow humanity. Okay, these is universal, we can say that values. This promotes universal values. So it is not only related to religion. हमें लगेगा कि secular है तो it's not only about the talking about the religion. It is talking about irrespective of religion, race, gender, nationality, anything. One should be focusing on humanity and human values, universal values. So that is secular ethics. This is very important nowadays. Especially you can see the issues like, let's say, yes, no problem. Yes, I am, let's say, going to guide from any platform. I'm going to guide you like I'm the teacher and you are the students. ठीक है, तो don't worry that कि मेरा कुछ change होने वाला है. Rather, I'm always trying to be, better teacher so that it helps you in a much better manner. Okay, now humanity. Why it is most relevant we are talking here? Because whatever the problems like refugee crisis is going on because of nationality issue. Then racial discrimination, again because of race. Indians are being, let's say, targeted in Australia, or let's say Muslims are being, let's say, targeted by the Christians. New Zealand Christchurch issue, very very important. Okay, so right wing extremism that is going on. अब ये सारी चीज जो होती है, दैट इज हैपनिंग बिकॉज ऑफ सम काइंड ऑफ लेट्स से बैकग्राउंड दैट वी आर अटैचिंग टू ourselves, be it let's say religion, caste, language issue that is going on in India. So basically we need to go beyond all these aspects and follow the human values. This is what secular ethics is. This is the message given by Dalai Lama. Then he is talking about inner peace. Yes, there was this quote, and basically the inner peace, one cannot achieve the inner peace unless sorry, one cannot achieve the peace in the outer world unless and until we achieve the peace inside us. So inner peace, how we can achieve that? Through mindfulness. Again, it is very important. The stress, the anxiety, the suicides, increase in suicides, all these problems that we are facing, even in children. अब देखिए, अब जो नीट पेपर लीक हो गया था, उसके बाद जो री नीट एग्जाम हो गया, so you can let's say see almost 13 to 14 students died because of suicide. Now, although it was very unfortunate, all these, let's say, incidences happened in our country, be it about leak of this neat paper and all these things. Altogether, it is, let's say, governance administration issues. One should be asking question and holding the government accountable for it. But when we talk about the children, okay, so how they are, let's say, not able to handle the stressful situations, somehow it's not only the failure of their parents, but it is a failure of, let's say, our complete society, our education system, and what we seek from these children, the expectations, that is, we can say, major concern that we are facing. And that's why inner peace is very important. Mindfulness, you can see that the heart attacks, the brain strokes that let's say people in 30s and 40s are getting, stressful life continuously they are living. So inner peace, work life balance, healthy lifestyle, है ना, healthy lifestyle is very important, right? And that we can say that that is going to help. Self discipline, same we can talk about. Self discipline is going to ensure the inner peace. Self discipline comes from, we can say, self control, self awareness about our own emotions. Self discipline comes from, we can say, that following certain, let's say, standard behavior, standard conducts or principles, we can say that. So self discipline will ensure that we are having the right conduct automatically. Then forgiveness, he is again talking about forgiveness. Same, let's say, earlier philosophers have, or let's say reformers have talked. And religious harmony also, secular ethics and all these things you can talk about. So whatever the, let's say, problems we as a society are facing related to religion, the communal tensions, communal violence that is going on. I told you, right wing extremism in other countries, Christchurch issue, incident in New Zealand, पेरिस में जो नाइफ के अटैक्स हुए थे कुछ साल पहले. एंड दिस इज बेसिकली द रिलीजियस, लेट्स से, hatred that we are facing nowadays, and religious chauvinism that is going on, and hate speeches, all these issues like going on, like cow vigilante, and let's say lynchings. So the ultimate solution to all this is, we can say, that secular ethics, and there is need of religious harmony. We need to ensure love for all, compassion and peace, so that ultimately what we have is, it is also relevant to global cooperation for shared humanity. Okay, shared humanity we should talk about the term, right? So shared humanity, let's say, goes across the borders. Refugee issue, hunger, malnutrition, poverty, all this we have seen in the COVID-19. What was the, let's say, problem? Restrictions, borders were closed, let's say, whatever the vaccines were there, they were not made accessible to the third world countries. ये सब चीजें क्या है? It's not, let's say, going towards shared humanity, which is problematic. ठीक है, तो ये सब चीजें हम लिख सकते हैं, दलाई लामा. ऑल राइट, देन वी कैन टॉक अबाउट इज नेक्स्ट पर्सन. You can see here, we can never obtain peace in the outer world until and unless we obtain peace within ourselves. Dalai Lama. So write down this question, and you can send the answer also simultaneously, and you must be able to write answer after our discussion here on that topic. Okay, otherwise it is not useful. Also download the notes from the description, and then try to revise it multiple times. They are very short notes. It is going to help you a lot. Okay, but without writing answers, it is not going to help again. ठीक है, so go through the first session. I told you, बहुत डिटेल में बताया हुआ है मैंने आपको. And yes, then continue with these sessions. Total 12 sessions will be there, 8 theory session and 4 case study sessions. चलिए next देखते हैं, next person. Who is the next person? Expected personality, Sant Kabir. Because Guru Nanak, again bhakti movement, so Sant Kabir, again bhakti movement is there, and very famous personality, we can say that, from our history. Yes, so bhakti movement. Again Nirguna Bhakti, he is talking about unity of God. Okay, the way ek onkar Guru Nanak was speaking, so unity of God. So to some extent we can say whatever the religious issues that are going on in our society, when we believe in the God, so one should be always respectful towards the beliefs or faith of other people also, and that's why automatically all these problems will be getting solved. Equality, so he believed that whatever the caste, religion, we can say that race, gender, so one should be always and always going beyond all these, let's say, barriers, and promote equality. Okay, so he was basically a staunch promoter of equality. Compassion and love, same, we can talk about, let's say, compassion and love for all living beings. I will tell you few of his dohas. Kabir ke doha bolte hai, jisko very famous and very interesting and we can say knowledgeable. So I am going to talk about them also, क्योंकि कभी भी एग्जाम में भी आप लिख सकते हो, essay में भी लिख सकते हो. Fearless truthfulness. So he talked about social issues or evils, superstitions, fearlessly. So we need moral courage. In present society also we have superstitions. Whatever the wrong things that are going on, नीट का पेपर लीक हुआ है, you should question the government, you should have moral courage to ask the questions to authorities. We can say that whatever the wrong things that are going on, you should be always asking the question. Simplicity, yes, again same, everyone is talking about simplicity. Yes, in our present life also, whatever we have desires, wealth accumulation, then we can talk about is lifestyle issue, insta worthy lifestyle. So this is creating problems, so we need to have simple life, because it is not never ending, no, never ending hai. And Mahatma Gandhi says that there is everything for on the earth for everyone's need, but not for greed. So everything is relevant here, environmental ethics and all. Inner devotion, yes, devotion towards, we can say, God. Basically it is going to have, ultimately it will focus on, we can say, purification of thoughts, of self, thoughts, actions. Okay, so it is overall focusing on purification or improving conduct. Okay, so this is the way we should be discussing Sant Kabir. Okay, so these values, I was talking about, let's say, his dohas, very interesting, so try to listen to them. One should be using them in your answer. ठीक है, आपके आंसर में आपको उसको यूज करना है. ठीक है, जस्ट अ मोमेंट. हाँ, यस. मोको कहाँ ढूंढे रे बंदे, मैं तो तेरे पास में, ना मैं देवल ना मैं मस्जिद, ना काबा कैलाश में. So basically it is talking about the oneness or unity of God, and it is talking about, let's say, one should not be seeking let's say, presence of God in the temples, mosque or somewhere. Rather he is saying that God is inside you. Look at the second one. Okay, look at this. Yes. पोथी पढ़ पढ़ जग मुआ, पंडित भाया ना कोए, ढाई अक्षर प्रेम का, पढ़े सो पंडित होए. So who is knowledgeable? Knowledgeable person is not the pandit who has the knowledge, rather those who are having, let's say, love and compassion in their heart. So basically they are the pandits. He is saying that they are the having true knowledge. Then yes, then he is saying that जात न पूछो साधु की पूछ लीजिए ज्ञान, ठीक है, मोल करो तलवार का पड़े रहने दो म्यान. So he is talking about don't ask the background of person, caste, religion, gender, rather talk about his knowledge. ठीक है, तो यही तो हम आज प्रेजेंट जनरेशन में देखते हैं कि वर्क प्लेस पे देखिए कास्ट देख के उसको प्रमोशन मिलेगा, जेंडर देख के वुमेन को डिस्क्रिमिनेशन होगा वर्क प्लेस पे. दिस इज द कॉमन प्रैक्टिस वी आर सेइंग. व्हाट ही इज सेइंग इज बेसिकली ही इज सेइंग दैट मोल कलो करो तलवार का, रहने दो मैन को. ठीक है, मतलब क्या है, बैकग्राउंड वो कहाँ से आया है, क्या किया है, ठीक है, कहाँ पैदा हुआ है, दैट डज नॉट मैटर. तलवार का रिस्पेक्ट करो, मतलब क्या है, वो कितना नॉलेजेबल है, उसके पास कैसे स्किल है, उस पर फोकस करो. वेरी रिलेवेंट इन प्रेजेंट सोसाइटी. ठीक है, तो आप जरूर वो सारी चीजें आप आंसर में लिखिए. फाइन. नाउ नेक्स्ट पर्सन, हु इज द नेक्स्ट पर्सन? यस, द अल्टीमेट पर्सनालिटी महात्मा गांधी. हर एक आंसर में आई एम टेलिंग यू all the 13 theory question and all the 6 case studies, I am sure that deliberately, indeliberately, directly, indirectly you can relate Mahatma Gandhi, his life, lessons and teachings. ठीक है, आपको समझना है कि कैसे उसको यूज करना है. ठीक है, you should be able to understand. Okay, so first of all let's try to understand the great let's say important teachings from his life. First of all, truth, satyagraha. So he was, we can say that, of the view that truth is God. He put truth the place of God, we can say that. According to him, truth was his religion. Truth was his religion. For him, truth was religion. Okay. So this is the way he is focusing on truth. And truth means we can say he is trying to seek the ultimate knowledge. And that's why he will always and always talk about purity of means. Okay, he will always focusing on the right actions, right path, right? That's why satyagraha. So you can talk about, let's say, examples from his own life also. My experiments with truth. So his own autobiography is there, you can give relevance there. Now in present society you can see that how truth is being lost. Post truth world bolte hain hum, theek hai, social media and all. Then we talk about, let's say, the problems related to fake news, deep fakes, and how it is creating problems. And then we talk about, let's say, how data privacy is, let's say, compromised. ट्रुथ जो है वो क्या है और क्या नहीं है ये समझना बहुत मुश्किल हो गया है प्रेजेंट सोसाइटी में. एंड द पीपल एक्चुअली आर, we can say, covering up the truth for their own interest, for their own gains, and that is creating problems. But yes, we can say that then administration, you can talk about, let's say, the problem with secrecy, confidentiality, and let's say how it goes against transparency. सब relevant है यहाँ. ठीक है. Then you can talk about his non-violence. Yes, non-violence is very important, and you can give his, let's say, reference how, let's say, Chauri Chora incident. After that he took back all the movement, non-cooperation movement, and he said that somehow people are not ready, masses are not ready. Why? Because the path, violence is not the path he wanted. So non-violence, उनके life से ही ये lessons है ना. He himself was, let's say, following that path. And then we can talk about is in the present society how non-violence is important. Peaceful protest is there, suppose we can talk about. Then we can talk about it's not only non-violence in the actions but also thoughts and words. One should not have the harmful, or we can say, ill feelings, ill words for the other people, and one should be always respectful towards the other people. So ये भी एक नॉन वायलेंस का हम बोल सकते हैं कि एप्लीकेशन है. राइट. सो इन प्रेजेंट सोसाइटी यू कैन टॉक अबाउट द प्रॉब्लम रिलेटेड टू वॉर्स, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, सेम थिंग है. ठीक है, जो मैं हम पिछले 5 फिलोसोफर्स का जो भी बात किया है हमने, thinkers का और reformers का, same thing he is also basically continuing. But all over the world you can see that he is appreciated for this peace and non-violence, promotion of peace and non-violence all around the world. appreciated. ठीक है? So you can see that whatever the famous leaders, major leaders like Putin, Trump, all this, they will come to India. First, they will go to, let's say, the samadhi of, we can say that, Mahatma Gandhi in Delhi, and there they will, let's say, offer their, let's say, we can say that, respect to Mahatma Gandhi. You can see that the statues of Mahatma Gandhi all over the world in prominent, let's say, countries. So yes, he is respected for these teachings. Then service to others. Yes, his whole life was basically service to others, including, we can say that, Harijans. So he was not, let's say, focused on a particular persons. Rather, he was of the view that, irrespective of caste, religion, let's say, the people should always focus on serving other people. That is the ultimate, we can say, truth, or we can say that, even you can give relevance of Swami Vivekananda. Service to, let's say, people is service to God. Okay, service to Jiva is service to Shiva. This is how Swami Vivekananda will say. That tolerance and respect. Tolerance and respect, yes, he was very tolerant towards, we can say, views of others, right? So then respect, being respectful to others and their opinions, their views. So yes, he may not agree to their views, but he was always respectful and tolerant towards their views. This particular, let's say, philosophy, when the other leaders of the country, young leaders of the country, they were basically following this philosophy. And this is how, let's say, India basically got all these values embedded in our constitution, these principles, the constitutional morality. And now we, as a country, as a society, also have these as a social norms: tolerance, respect, and all these things. Self reliance. So tolerance and respect, आप बताइए कि आज के सोसाइटी में whatever the problems we are facing, so those problems related to, we can talk about the growing intolerance. जल्दी गुस्सा आ जाता है, anger. So you can again relate to the Mumbai local incident. Young boy died because of anger. Somehow, let's say, intolerance. मुझे तूने ऐसे कैसे बोल दिया? How can you say this to me? Right? So this kind of, let's say, tolerance. Then the kind of ego, let's say, we have heightened sense of ego that we have nowadays. Our personality is not humble. Okay? And that is creating problem, the conflicts, violence, anger issues. Then we can talk about stress because of that. ये सब चीजें हो रही है. And then it result into disrespectful treatment to other people because of this. When we have intolerance, automatically it result into, let's say, disrespectful treatment to other people. Then we can say self-reliance. Yes, he was talk about, he was of the view that gram swaraj, village, let's say, self-sufficiency. So one should be self-sufficient. You can see in the Gandhian DPSPs, you relate that in the Gandhian DPSPs. Be it, we can talk about, let's say, village panchayats, and he is talking about, let's say, protecting the cattle, cows, their breeds. It is, he is talking about, let's say, helping the SC/ST community for their welfare. There should be for some kind of, let's say, steps by the government. So self reliance is, let's say, that philosophy. He is saying that one should not be dependent on other country. Our country should be self reliant. आत्मनिर्भर भारत जोड़ दो यहाँ पे. ठीक है, आत्मनिर्भर भारत, present day government philosophy. Then discipline and hard work. So yes, again, his own life is, we can say that, example for this discipline and hard work. Yes, so hard work, there is no substitute for hard work. Again, now we can see that there are, let's say, scams, we can say, unethical unethical business practices. So he himself will say that the commerce without morality is a sin, right? Then forgiveness and humility. Yes, he said that we cannot forgive. Forgiveness is a trait of strong. Just now we discussed about this, right? Forgiveness requires magnanimity in the heart. It requires the attitude of letting go. ठीक है, पास्ट में जो हो गया वो भूल के आगे. It requires whether we always seek to rebuild the relation with other person who has done something wrong with you. ठीक है, क्या हम रिलेशन को इंपॉर्टेंस देते हैं क्या? या वो इंसिडेंट को जो उन्होंने किया है उसको इंपॉर्टेंस देता है, ये सब चीजें मैटर करती है. And the people are not ready to forgive because they have some ego aspect, they have to overcome that ego aspect. So that's why forgiveness is not the trait of weak, he is saying forgiveness is the trait of strong person. And humility is, we can say, humbleness, down to earth. Like for example, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, Ratan Tata. So the way they had humility and humbleness in their personality, one should have. The more the person becomes truly knowledgeable and achieve the wisdom, that person is most humble person basically. Okay, so one should be moving towards that. And moral courage and fearlessness. So the way he actually dealt with Britishers, he questioned their, let's say, wrong or unethical practices, laws, rules, and we can say that this requires fearlessness. So basically, here you can relate with the Plato's concept that one should know what to and where to not fear. ठीक है, मतलब क्या है, किसी सबको पता होना चाहिए कि कहाँ पे नहीं डरना है. ठीक है, सो महात्मा गांधी वॉज अवेयर अबाउट दिस, दैट कि वॉट एवर ही इज डूइंग इज नॉट रॉन्ग. So he was not afraid of anything, not even of death. So he had lost fear of death. So when he had violated this, let's say, salt law, uh, civil disobedience movement ke time pe, there was, let's say, salt march. You know about this, right? Dandi march. So, as against that crime, the Mahatma Gandhi in the law, in the court of law, had asked the maximum possible punishment. So he was not worried about the punishment. He was ready to accept it because he, let's say, accepted what he did was unlawful, right? So he was not afraid about it. कि मैंने कोई चीज गलत की है. योर लॉ वॉज बेसिकली नॉट एथिकल, और वी कैन से दैट इट वॉज नॉट जस्ट लॉ. ठीक है, तो ये आप मॉरल करेज. नाउ डेज यू कैन टॉक अबाउट, पीपल आर नॉट रेडी टू क्वेश्चन द गवर्नमेंट अथॉरिटी. Okay, so yes, whatever the wrong things that are going on in the administration, be it corruption, abuse of power, fake encounter issues are there, like there are, let's say, issues related to diversion of public funds, one should ask the question to the government, what actions you are taking or you have taken. Okay, why the people are, let's say, especially public servants, civil servants, are not being held accountable? Why there is no transparency in the government? The decisions should be continuously conveyed to the people, and while taking decisions, people should be also be part of decision making. This is what the governance, सबका साथ सबका विकास. ठीक है, तो ये महात्मा गांधी जी का जो क्वेश्चन आया था यूपीएससी में. लेट्स ट्राई टू ब्रेनस्टॉर्म ऑन दैट क्वेश्चन आल्सो. आई एम गोइंग टू गिव यू वन शॉर्टकट हियर. Discuss Mahatma Gandhi's concept of seven sins. Okay, and there has been five such code based questions. There are total 6 questions in 13 years. So almost every year or alternate year there is direct question on Mahatma Gandhi. So, and I told you, even if there is no question, you can write Mahatma Gandhi's teachings one way or other way. इसके अलावा भी आप यहाँ पे जोड़ सकते हैं बहुत सारी चीजें. ठीक है, I would add some of the important philosophies of Mahatma Gandhi. You can talk about is Antodaya. ठीक है, Antodaya, we need to focus on last one in, let's say, line, जो weak, poorest of the poor, उनको help करना है. ठीक है, poorest of the poor. Then we can talk about is his talisman, Gandhiji's talisman. Think that your actions are benefiting last person in line. सबको फायदा होना चाहिए, everyone, including last person in the line. His talisman, Gandhiji's talisman. Gram Swaraj we have already talked about. Seven sins, we'll talk about the seven sins. Then Nayi Talim, about the education. So he is talking about, let's say, work while earning, or work while learning, sorry. Learning plus earning. So he is talking about vocational education. Okay, vocational education. Learn, earn. So he is basically talking about skills. One should focus on skill development. Present government is also focusing on skill development of people, and let's say while learning itself, people should be able to earn, especially those who are, let's say, underprivileged or poor background. नई तालीम एजुकेशन के लिए, रिफॉर्म्स के लिए आप वो लिखिए, एजुकेशनल रिफॉर्म्स. Also he is talking about, let's say, educational reforms. Focus should be on character building of people, children. ठीक है, strong character building. Then we can say that he is of, let's say, having compassion towards the animals, compassion towards animals. That you can relate there also. Then he is, let's say, talking about, we can say, cleanliness, Swachh Bharat mission, cleanliness, Swachh Bharat mission, उन्हीं के philosophy के ऊपर है. Cleanliness is next to godliness. So try to link everywhere. Okay, I was telling about 7 sins. I will give you shortcuts here. Yes, P square, W square, S, K, C. Okay, P square, W square, S, K, C. What is this P square? It's pleasure without conscience is a sin. Politics without principle is a sin. Politics without principles is a sin. W square. What is W square? Wealth without work is a sin. Then we can talk about is worship without sacrifice is a sin. Then S is, we can say that, science without humanity. K is, we can say that, knowledge or education without character is a sin. And C is, we can say that, commerce without morality. All right. So these are the 7 sins. Very important shortcut that I am giving. So again, I am repeating a shortcut for social sins. 7 social sins given by Mahatma Gandhi. P square, W square, SKC. P square is for pleasure without conscience, politics without principles. W square is wealth without work and worship without sacrifice. S is science without, we can say, humanity. K is knowledge without character or education without character. And C is commerce without morality. Now you should never forget these 7 sins and you should be using them in your answers again and again. Okay, now what is the meaning and how they are relevant in the present context? Yes, very simple. So pleasure without conscience. Pleasure is, nowadays you can see that people are indulging in the worldly things. So indulgence in the worldly things has increased. Commodification, consumerism, or let's say, I told you regarding the lifestyle, people have become more, let's say, conscious about their lifestyle. They're comparing with each other continuously and they want more and more and more. There is no control on desires, everything, right? So, but without conscience. So there is Pixian philosophy, no? Charvaka philosophy, a Pixian philosophy. That is problematic. So people should be focusing more on, let's say, conscience, and automatically that will result in moderation in human life. That will result into sustainable living, right? One should be also thinking about whatever they are doing or consuming, whether it is having some impact on other people. Like wasteful expenditure. जो हम फूड लेते हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा फूड लेते हैं और हम वेस्ट कर देते हैं. People are not able to have 2 meals per day, and we are basically wasting our food. That is basically, our conscience should tell us that whatever we are doing is wrong. ठीक है, तो अकेले आप ड्राइव करके ऑफिस की तरफ जा रहे हो डेली बेसिस पे, और लोग जो है वो पोल्यूशन का विक्टिम जो है, वो जो पुअर पीपल है वो हो रहा है, ओल्ड एज पीपल हो रहा है, बच्चे हो रहे हैं, राइट? सो वी शुड बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड कि वी शुड बी फॉलोइंग द पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट. तो पॉलिटिक्स विदाउट प्रिंसिपल्स, ठीक है. सो सेकंड वन, पॉलिटिक्स विदाउट प्रिंसिपल्स. सो पॉलिटिक्स, इट इज जनरली सेड दैट पॉलिटिक्स एंड ethics do not go hand in hand. By this, there is this views. You can see that people or politicians, leaders, when they want to come in power, they will have some kind of, let's say, money power, muscle power, criminals, and then let's say nexus between criminals, businessmen, politicians. And then we can say that once they come in power, then to remain in power, they will abuse the power, authority. There will be some corruption, bribe, and we can say that all this cycle continues. So politics without principles, you can give some examples, good example. Mahabharata is all about, let's say, politics with principles. Okay. Along with that, you can give certain examples of, let's say, great personalities: Mahatma Gandhi, Dr. Ambedkar, Lal Bahadur Shastri, then let's say Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Some great statesmen are there, and there they followed politics with principles. ठीक है, तो ये आप जरूर लिखिए यहाँ पर. Then wealth without work. So you can see that people are following, let's say, wrong business practices, marketing, deceiving the people. You can come across such let's say advertisement. अभी एक मैंने recently example दिया कि मैं कैसे फंसते फंसते बच गया एक deceiving practice के through. ठीक है, so basically people are trying to exploit other people by using them means to achieve certain ends. That is problematic. So wealth without work is नॉट एट ऑल एक्सेप्टेड. महात्मा गांधी ने बोला है हार्ड वर्क करना चाहिए. गुरु नानक ने बोला है कि आप जो है कीरत करो. ठीक है, यू शुड डू हार्ड वर्क एंड यू शुड हैव ऑनेस्ट मीन्स ऑफ लाइवलीहुड. सो ये सारी चीजें यहाँ पे लिखनी है. देन वर्शिप विदाउट सैक्रिफाइस. सो वन शुड वर्शिप, वन शुड हैव फेथ, बट दैट डज नॉट मीन कि भगवान को प्रे करते रहोगे तो सब कुछ मिल जाएगा. वन शुड डू द हार्ड वर्क, वन शुड सैक्रिफाइस द थिंग्स in their life while doing the hard work. So one, let's say there is a very famous quote of Dalai Lama that was asked in your mains examination. What is that? Let's say one should judge the success on the basis of the things he or that person sacrificed to achieve that success. So if you want to achieve the success in this examination, one should have, let's say, sacrifice in their mind. One should sacrifice, let's say, watching, let's say, movies, and let's say going out with the friends and enjoying party, all these things. And one should do the hard work, you know, तभी ये एग्जाम पास होगा, तभी सक्सेस मिलेगा. ये इट्स नॉट ओनली अबाउट दिस एग्जाम. इन आवर डेली लाइफ हम जो भी हमारे ड्रीम्स है, टारगेट्स है, तभी वो सक्सेसफुल हो सकते हैं व्हेन वी आर एबल टू सैक्रिफाइस. बिकॉज माइंड जो है ना, ह्यूमन माइंड हमेशा इजी थिंग्स ढूंढता है. ठीक है, एंटरटेनमेंट और लेट्स से अच्छी चीजें जो होती है, डिजायर्स, वो सब अट्रैक्ट करता है हमारा माइंड. ठीक है, तो दैट्स व्हाई वी नीड टू कंट्रोल आवर डिजायर्स एंड कंट्रोल ऑन आवर, लेट्स से, नेगेटिव थॉट्स, all these things. Then we can talk about science without humanity. Yes, nuclear, let's say, a development, nuclear warheads, nuclear tests that are being conducted, or let's say how science is misused by the terrorist organizations also with some kind of chemical weapons, nuclear weapons. And then you can talk about is, let's say, the problem related to science like GM crops. ठीक है, साइंस है, बट वेदर इट इज बेनिफिटिंग द ह्यूमैनिटी और नॉट. देन नाउअडेज टेक्नोलॉजीज, AI is there, all these things. अब इसमें algorithmic bias is there, so many things are there. So whether it is benefiting the humanity or let's say it is resulting into loss of certain, let's say, aspect of humanity, तो वो आपको यहाँ पे एग्जाम्पल देके लिखने आना चाहिए. देन नॉलेज विदाउट कैरेक्टर. यस, इफ द पर्सन इज knowledgeable but that knowledge is being not used for the welfare of people but only for, let's say, self interest, then it is problematic. Let me give you mythological example from Mahabharata. Duryodhana and Yudhishthira, कौरवा एंड पांडवा से जो पर्सनालिटीज थे, या फिर हम बोल सकते हैं कि दे वर द elder brothers from their siblings. So both were very knowledgeable people, almost equally knowledgeable. They were trained by their, let's say, guru Dronacharya equally. ठीक है, so Yudhishthira was having knowledge as well as Duryodhana was having knowledge of what is dharma, what is right thing and wrong thing to do in a particular situation. But Yudhishthira followed that in the life and the decisions, but Duryodhana did not follow that. Rather, he was always doing adharma. So that means knowledge without character. The person was lacking character. You can give good examples like Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Knowledge, and he used that knowledge for welfare of the country, welfare of poor people. Knowledge without character, you can talk about that. And you can give the example of corrupt civil servants. So corrupt civil servants, they have knowledge and information about the laws and legal loopholes, and that loopholes they are basically exploiting for the corruption, self interest, so they lack character. Then lastly, commerce without morality. So you can come across, let's say, so many scams are happening and wrong business practices. Let's say platform workers, gig workers are exploited by these large corporations. And then you come across the, let's say, न्यूज जैसे कि हम देखते हैं कि बॉन्डेड लेबर है या फिर एक्सप्लॉयटेशन है इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर में. So all this is commerce without morality. Then fake advertisement, deceiving advertisements are being, let's say, followed by the, let's say, corporations or private companies. Corporate commerce without morality. So one should follow the corporate governance practices, good corporate governance practices, corporate social responsibility. So commerce with morality will be like that. ये सब चीजें डिस्कस करनी है. I think so now it is more than enough for this topic. You should try to write answer to this question now. Then Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Yes. So he is the person. It is a pending question, I would say. ठीक है. हाँ तो let's take a minute of break. कि continuously बात हम आप भी सुन रहे हैं, मैं भी बात कर रहा हूँ. ठीक है. हाँ, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So you have learned about him in history. Hmm. Yes. So what you have learned in the history? Yes. So basically, Dr. Ambedkar, he is basically called as the father of Indian Constitution. Now, why he is called like that? We'll talk about that also, constitutional morality, and basically he was the chairman of drafting committee or Constituent Assembly. So he was an ardent supporter and we can say that preacher of these values: liberty, equality, fraternity. He called it as a trinity. They are dependent on each other. So one is impacting other. So if we are having liberty, then only there can be equality and fraternity. If liberty is lost, there cannot be equality and fraternity. So basically he is of these, let's say, liberal values. He was having this philosophy, and that's why in our constitution you can see that in the preamble also, as well as fundamental rights. So these values are enshrined. Now, why they are important? Because you can see that his own background and the struggle that he has faced, and you can see that the community from which he belongs, basically they are continuously facing a lot of problems in our community, let's say country, Dalits and let's say SCs, ST community. So those communities who are socio-economically backward communities in our country, they have been facing the problems with, on let's say, basis of caste discrimination from centuries. And the exploitation, their exploitation, all these things, and they were not having freedom, liberty, and equal treatment was not there, discrimination. So to some extent then we can talk about social justice aspect is also, let's say, incorporated in our constitution. All these aspects we can talk about, political, social, economic justice. Okay, so he believed in all these values. In present society also you can say, talk about liberty, equality. So still there is a discrimination, be it gender discrimination, caste discrimination, or you can talk about, let's say, favoritism by the those who are in power. ठीक है, तो ये जो अनइक्वल ट्रीटमेंट होती है और इनजस्टिस जो होता है, दैट इज वी कैन से दैट वी नीड टू ओवरकम. एज अ सिविल सर्वेंट आल्सो दे हैव रिस्पांसिबिलिटी to ensure social justice, welfare to those weaker sections of society, or we can say marginalized sections of society. Then talk about self-respect and dignity. So he believed in that, and those, let's say, belong to that community, he asked them to, we can say that, educate, edit, and we can say that agitate. Let me tell you the exact wordings, and it is very important. Hmm. Yes, educate, agitate, and organize. This was the message he gave. I measure the progress of community by the degree of progress which the women have achieved. So he is talking about, let's say, women empowerment also simultaneously, and along with that he is talking about, let's say, one should not be all, let's say, dependent on other people. Be independent, be educated, be agitated, be organized, and be enlightened. So he is talking about this thing, self-respect and dignity. So in present society we have manual scavenging issue, caste discrimination, and let's say caste violence. We can, let's say, come across that news also many times. So that is, let's say, problematic. So he is talking about, let's say, educating the let's say ourself is also very important. Self respect, having self respect. One, when the one is having self respect, one will deny the discrimination and the wrongful practices going with them. So he is talking like that. Then constitutional morality. So he said that the constitutional morality cannot be present in let's say all people. It must be cultivated. This is the statement. It must be cultivated among the people. Three times UPSC has asked question on constitutional morality. Yes. So in present day, you can see that the constitutional values like justice, equality, and fraternity are violated continuously. The people are not doing their own fundamental duties. They are not aware about it. So it needs to be cultivated. So respect for rule of law, or we can talk about, let's say, the kind of let's say respect for the rights of other people. Freedom of speech and expression you have, there are some reasonable restrictions. So one should respect that. तो ये सारा चीज जो है constitutional morality बहुत ही जरूरी है. Then he was very rational person and scientific temper he promoted. So these things, overcoming the superstitions. So actually among the Dalit and let's say SC community, there has been, let's say, superstitions, although they came from some kind of caste system and the rules, manusmriti and all these things. And he was of the view that one should be rational and reject such practices. ठीक है, जैसे उन्होंने बोला कि पूजा के टाइम पे ब्राह्मण की क्या जरूरत है, उन्होंने उस टाइम पे ये सब चीजें बताई थी रैशनल माइंडसेट से, राइट. सो वर्शिप एंड ऑल दिस थिंग्स. Then let's say opening temples for everyone. Then Kalaram temple, let's say temple entry protest. uh, then we can talk about, say, let's say uh, Saudar Lake protest that he had done. ठीक है, तो ये सारे प्रोटेस्ट जो है उनके टाइम पे हम हिस्ट्री में पढ़ते हैं, राइट. सो यू शुड बी एबल टू लिंक दैट द वे साइंटिफिक टेम्पर एंड रैशनल माइंड ही हैड. कंपैशन टुवर्ड्स द वीकर सेक्शंस, स्पेशली फॉर द डाउन ट्रॉडन्स. ठीक है, सो those who are marginalized sections, he was having compassion, he was empathetic for them, and he worked throughout his life for their betterment. ठीक है, their rights. And he made sure that in constitution also their rights are ensured and they are protected. This is the way you should be able to link his contribution. I think so now you will be able to write answer to any question. Savitri Bai Phule, so there was one question. Let me tell you the question first. You can see, what are the main factors responsible for gender inequality in India? Discuss the contribution of Savitri Bai Phule in this regard. The second part was regarding Savitri Bai Phule. First was related to gender inequality, one of the major social problem that we see. अभी तो हमने पहला ही वो जेंडर इंजस्टिस सोच वही तो डिस्कस किया था, जेंडर इनइक्वालिटी. तो क्विकली विल सी दिस फैक्टर्स इटसेल्फ. So patriarchal values, norms we have, our societal norms, they are problematic, right. They subjugate women to men in the society. तो इसलिए क्या हम बोलेंगे, जेंडर इक्वालिटी है ये माइंडसेट. देन देयर आर प्रेजुडिसेस इन आवर सोसाइटी, prejudices and stereotypes that women cannot do this, cannot do that. Women should do only this thing, not come outside for work. They should do the household chores only, take care of children, parents. So this is stereotyping view. Or women cannot be inducted in the armed forces. They are not having strong physique, they cannot, let's say, fight. So ये stereotyping view है, ठीक है. Prejudices है women से related बहुत सारे, ठीक है. So they are not based on rational thinking. Lack of rational thinking. Then other factors related to safety, ठीक है. Safety in the public places. Then we can talk about is lack of deterrence, lack of strong deterrence of law. Laws तो बहुत सारे हैं, बट उनका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ही ठीक से नहीं है. लॉ, पनिशमेंट, ये भी एक प्रॉब्लम हम बोल सकते हैं कि जेंडर इक्वालिटी कंटिन्यू हो रहा है इंडिया में. देन व्हाट वी कैन से दैट इट्स ए लैक ऑफ स्ट्रॉन्ग सेंस ऑफ रिजेक्शन इन सोसाइटी अगेंस्ट सच प्रैक्टिसेस. कुछ बहुत ही डेंजर हो जाता है, बड़ा कुछ हो जाता है, तभी सब लोग एकदम जाग जाते हैं. बट डे टू डे लाइफ में आर वी एबल टू रिजेक्ट दोज प्रैक्टिसेस? In our household itself we see the gender discrimination. Are we able to reject those practices? Are you able to question them? ठीक है. And पब्लिक प्लेस का तो बाद में आ गया. ठीक है, ये तो जेंडर इक्वालिटी एट होम इटसेल्फ. आर वी able to do that? Are we able to at least after, let's say, becoming knowledgeable about what are these factors, on the rational mindset, we should be able to, let's say, treat women equally. ठीक है, वर्क प्लेस हो या हाउस होल्ड हो या इन जनरल इन सोसाइटी, ये फैक्टर्स है. एंड सावित्री बाई फुले, यस ऑफ कोर्स शी वाज having a moral courage and determination for what they have decided. Their goal was basically for women empowerment, women's education, empowerment, their rights, equality, dignity. ठीक है, dignity, respect. So this was the goal, her determination. And basically against all odds she faced. ठीक है, recently there was movie also on Savitri Bai Phule and Jyotiba Phule. So both have done for, let's say, women's education. ठीक है, equality and justice, compassion. ठीक है, compassion towards, let's say, children, weaker section, marginalized sections. Marginalized sections, children. So Sri Bhun Hatya Pramandak, Sri Bhrun Hatya. Hatya Pratibandhak Graha. मतलब क्या है? This is basically against the female child infanticide, let's say, home that was, let's say, created, marginalized sections. So there were, let's say, hostels for women, working women, education, everything, widow remarriage, equality, justice, ये सब वहाँ से आया. Selfless service. We can say that everything was selfless. Whatever they have done service to women, children, downtrodden. ठीक है, selfless, humanity, visionary leadership. Yes, both were leaders. Jyotiba Phule and Savitri Bai, she was the first teacher, first female teacher of India. ठीक है, so they were laughed upon, they were basically thrown upon the cow dung on their faces, and, let's say, shouted against the, let's say, for the caste discrimination, everything, let's say, against the mainstream society, against all odds, but they fought against them. Visionary leadership. ठीक है, then empowerment through education. This shows the rational mindset they had. Okay, you can imagine during, let's say, 18th century and 19th century, such kind of, let's say, visionary thinking they had. Empowerment through education. So education promotes basically rational mindset, and that's why empowerment will happen, especially for women and downtrodden. So education is must for everyone. That's why they fought for it. And let's say, she was the first female teacher of India. तो इसलिए ये सारे चीज उनका कंट्रीब्यूशन में आपको लिखना है. All right, so this question was there in the second part. This contribution we can write here. Then you can talk about next person, Swami Vivekananda. 2 to 3 times there were quotes. Swami Vivekananda, very important personality. ऐसा बोला जाता है कि he was the last philosopher of India. ठीक है, Swami Vivekananda. Very important aspect is that he brought basically the rationality in our religion, Hinduism. That's why we can say that rational element, introduced the rational element in Hinduism. So whatever the, let's say, wrong practices, social evils, religious practices were there earlier, he rejected them on the basis of rational thinking. So that's why social reformers, you should know. Then he promoted universal brotherhood. Okay, so this universal brotherhood concept, you can talk about his, let's say, Chicago speech, religious congregations. There he talked about my brothers and sisters. Okay, so this is how he introduced himself or start his speech. Universal brotherhood. So India's let's say cultural heritage is being promoted. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Present day let's say scenario you can relate the kind of let's say nationalism, staunch nationalism going on. COVID-19 में हमने देखा है vaccine nationalism. Thereafter even present days for the resources there are conflicts. So the the conflicts, then the refugee issues. So universal brotherhood is always relevant. Then service to humanity. That's what we said, that service to Jiva is service to Shiva. ठीक है, तो सर्विस टू ह्यूमन इज सर्विस टू गॉड, दिस इज ही सेज. So service to humanity, everyone should serve humanity, and this is the ultimate aim he is saying to the let's say. Then he is asking youth for nation building. ठीक है, तो arise awake and stop not till the goal is achieved, this is the aim that we should have in our life also. So he is basically catalyzing youth of the nation for nation's growth, and we can say development. So he is also talking about character of human being. So he is saying that the nation or society is not strong because of its nuclear weapons, or we can say science technology. It is strong because of the morality of its people, the character of its people. So write this quote also. Why? Because the character is very important virtue. So if people are having knowledge, then if they are not having character, then they will misuse that knowledge or power. And that's why character building is, they must be promoted. Then ultimately spiritual humanism. So he is trying to let's say blend the spiritualism of the east and materialism of the west. He is trying to blend this, and today also we need blend of both. ठीक है, so सिर्फ materialism पे focus करके नहीं चलेगा. ठीक है, so we need spiritualism also simultaneously. Both world needs basically combination of this. ठीक है, so that's why spiritual humanism he is promoting this idea. And whatever the problems that we are witnessing around the world, so this is lack of human values. And individualism, materialism, commodification, rat race, human desires, sensual pleasures, everything is let's say creating a lot of problems. And that's why whatever his teachings are there, they are very very relevant in the present day world. ठीक है, तो इस तरीके से. Then fearlessness and self belief, confidence. So he is basically, that's why arise awake and stop not till the goal is achieved. So one should have the self belief, and he is let's say asking us to be fearless. Fearless in terms of let's say asking what is your right, fearless in terms of seeking the truth, fearless in terms of questioning the wrong practices. This is what fearlessness or moral courage, same concept, same philosophies you should be able to relate. ठीक है, तो ये सारे जो है चीजें आपको लिखने आनी चाहिए. स्वामी विवेकानंद पे जब कोट आता है, क्वेश्चन आता है. All right, finally, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Twice there was the quote asked on the, let's say, from said by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. So he was a visionary leader, transformative leadership जिसको हम बोलते हैं. ठीक है, visionary leadership, transformative leadership. Yes. So उनको हम बोलते हैं कि प्यार से कि पीपल्स प्रेसिडेंट, राइट, एपीजे अब्दुल कलाम. यस, ही हैड विजन. यू कैन सी फ्रॉम हिज बुक्स, राइट. तो विंग्स ऑन फायर, या फिर हम विजन 2020, बहुत सारे ऐसे अलग अलग जो उनके बुक्स लिखे हुए हैं उन्होंने, फ्रॉम हिज ओन एक्सपीरियंसेस ही इज शेयरिंग थ्रू दोज बुक्स. So he had vision and he tried to achieve that vision by catalyzing his team. ठीक है, जैसे हम बोल सकते हैं मिसाइल मैन ऑफ इंडिया. वहां पे आप लिखो मिसाइल प्रोजेक्ट, मिसाइल प्रोजेक्ट्स. So he led that team despite of several failures. So we are able to now have that let's say ballistic missile program, visionary leadership. Simplicity and humility, despite of let's say being in that position, you can come across so many let's say instances. जैसे वो जहाँ पर वो बात कर रहे हैं और he is sitting down and talking to let's say other people. Whenever he is let's say interacting with children, he is talking to them by being one among them. ठीक है, तो this is basically, it shows that how simplicity and humility he had. जैसे आप देख सकते हो कि व्हेन ही वाज द प्रेसिडेंट एंड व्हेन ही लेफ्ट द प्रेसिडेंशियल हाउस, राष्ट्रपति भवन, सो उनके पास कुछ भी नहीं था, वो जो भी उन्होंने एक सूटकेस और जो लाया था उतना ही लेके वो चले गए, सो एवरीथिंग ही लेफ्ट बिहाइंड। सो दिस इज द सिंपल लिविंग दैट ही वाज हैविंग। मैंने बताया ना, द ट्रू नॉलेज, व्हेन वी हैव ट्रू नॉलेज देन ऑटोमेटिकली ह्यूमिलिटी कम्स इन द पर्सनालिटी, integrity and honesty. Yes, whenever he had, let's say, public life, so throughout his public life, whenever we are saying as a public servant, there was integrity and honesty in his work, reflected through his actions, decisions, service before the self. So he always worked for nation, other people. This showed sacrifice, ठीक है, उनकी फैमिली लाइफ और वो सब सैक्रिफाइस किया उन्होंने, सर्विस बिफोर द सेल्फ, दिस फिलोसॉफी, and then discipline and punctuality. Yes, as a public, let's say, public servant, he had and continuously followed always discipline and punctuality. Then love for the country. Yes, he wanted India to be developed country, how it can become developed country, how we can reduce poverty, unemployment. So he was always focused on that, and he was exploring all that through some innovative creative ideas. So how these ideas can be implemented so as to, let's say, overcoming and solving the problems related to irrigation, or we can talk about, let's say, hunger, malnutrition, problem related to education, so everything, ठीक है, उन्होंने हमेशा इनोवेशन को इम्प्लीमेंट करने की कोशिश की, इनोवेटिव आइडियाज को हमेशा उन्होंने एक्सेप्ट किया है, अप्रिशिएट किया है. This is what the contribution of APJ Abdul Kalam is there. So his famous quote is that, regarding if the country wants to be, let's say, corruption free and the nation of beautiful minds, then three, let's say, people he is identifying and saying that have major role to play, that is mother, father and teacher. ये quote दो बार आया है दोस्तों. This quote has been asked twice by UPSC, repeated. You can imagine the quote being repeated. This is the significance of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Regarding this particular topic, we are going to learn in the next session socialization, and we can say role of parents, let's say education and schools, and society in inculcation of human values. And then there is one small topic, ethics in public relation versus ethics in private relation. So we will cover that in the next session. If you are writing the answers to these questions, these topics, if you want the feedback, you can contact the Legacy IS Academy, and I'm going to give you feedback on those, let's say, questions and improve your answer writing. Okay, students. So if you have liked these videos, you can share with the friends also. Subscribe to Legacy IS Academy YouTube channel and try to, let's say, follow these 12 sessions on the regular basis. आपका ethics एकदम अच्छे से तैयार हो जाएगा, and we will make sure कि आप 124 plus marks आपके ethics में लाएं. Okay, let us stop for today. Thank you.